Good evening. Before I get into my remarks, I think it's important to clear the air. We all weren't very happy with your honor tonight because we're a competitive bunch. There's 9 of us, and we've competed for food, attention, affection. And when my mother smiled, hearing that you were acknowledged and accepted the award, we saw a smile that, you know, none of our commencements, none of our managers, none of the children ever resonated. So, congratulations. All kidding aside, when my mother shared with us that you received the Michael R. Long Award, we were filled with pride and joy. From the very beginning of your political journey, my father saw something special, someone grounded in faith, guided in principle, deeply committed to God and family. He believed in you. He saw in your candidacy a renewed hope for the conservative movement in New York. He recognized your strength, integrity, and the rare courage it takes to put the people and the country before personal political gain. Your recent actions show that you are a leader of conviction and character. There are few in politics today who embody the values that my father held dear. He admired you, not just as a public servant, but as a person. My mother and father both cherished your friendship, and you know how much this moment would mean to him. Whether you're standing up to the liberal establishment in Albany or defending our rights in Washington, the Long family stands proudly with you. We are honored that you have accepted this award in his name. We know that wherever your path leads, wherever your path leads, you will continue to make a difference. Always remember you've got someone in your corner among the angels. Simplify.
Long family. I want to start with Eileen. You are a dear friend, going back to when, as an unknown underdog candidate that no one thought had a chance at all of winning, of running and winning. I am so grateful that Mike took a chance on me and believed in our mission to stand up strongly for conservative values. And I want to thank you as the matriarch of the Long family, who we all know runs the show. Thank you for your phone call earlier this year. And I also want to thank all of Mike Long's children, who he had so many accomplishments in his life. His service in the military as a Marine, his commitment to the Catholic Church, his commitment as Eileen's husband, and his pride as your father, and his pride as a grandfather. And he knew the importance of putting family first and what we were fighting for, strong values and the next generation. And I think about that, Eileen. You and Mike were at my husband and my wedding in Saratoga. I will never forget that. Thank you so much. And now that I've become a mom, I think about the importance of that role as a parent and commitment to family values. Mike Long, and Jerry said this exactly right. He was a man of integrity, and there are a few people in politics who their word is their bond. That was the case with Chairman Mike Long. His word was gold. You could take it to the bank. You could count on him through the good times and the bad. And I am forever grateful for that sterling character, for that strong commitment to his values, and what he did on behalf of the people of New York, building the Conservative Party as the Republican Party's conscience. So we are forever grateful. This is a testament to his service, and I'm truly, truly humbled to accept the award under his name today. And I'm also humbled, and I don't think she is here today, that I follow the great Sean Marie, the first recipient of the Mike Long Award, and I know how important she was to Chairman Long. Thank you, of course, to Chairman Jerry Kassar for your continued leadership on behalf of the Conservative Party. Thank you to all of the vice chairs, the county chairs all across our state. You are the grassroots operation. You continue to make history in building this party. I also want to thank our partners, the Republican Party Chair, Chairman Ed Cox, for your leadership at the helm. And just to reiterate how important the Conservative Party of New York is to President Trump, he sent his very best, the top political official on behalf of the President, our Chairman of the Republican National Committee, my good friend Michael Whatley, who is here today on behalf of President Trump. Chairman Whatley understands, as does President Trump, that not only does the road to the House majority run through the state of New York, but that what happens in New York is going to save our country. We need to save New York to save America. That is why he is here today. I also want to thank one of my local county chairs, Chairman Bill McGahey from Essex County. Where are you, Bill? Bill, thank you. From the very beginning. You know, a funny story, my mom helped carry petitions and beat Bill McGahey in Essex County, knocked on his door when I was first running for office before he even had the petitions out. I'm sure we'll never forget that story. I also want to recognize my colleagues in Congress. We have Nicole Naliatakis from Staten Island. We have Mike Lawler, who flipped the district and is working very hard. And any other House members here that I'm missing? Did I get everybody, Jerry?
Got them.
Okay, I got them. I also want to recognize Rob Ort, our Republican leader, putting on the fight on behalf of the state Senate. And Will Barkley, who is leading the charge of our Republican Assembly members. Going back to the story when I first had the opportunity to meet then Chairman Mike Long, this was in 2014, and as you know, the history of my district was held by a Democrat before we flipped it, and there's a long history of the Conservative Party in my district with the great Doug Hoffman, our Conservative Party candidate, standing up for our values. We had the opportunity to unify and win that district once and for all, and before the Republican primary, Chairman Long took a chance on our candidacy with the Conservative Party endorsement. With his support, we were able to unify the Conservatives and Republicans and flip that district and make history. This was a district that Obama carried twice. That is one of the most pro-Trump districts, pro-conservative, pro-Republican districts in New York State. And Mike Long was critical to helping us build that groundwork of where we are today. I was proud at that time to be the youngest woman ever elected to Congress in United States history. And I've been proud over the past 10 years to serve as the highest ranking New York Republican in over 100 years, to give us a voice at the highest level and never apologize for standing up for our strong America first, New York first values. And that means being willing to get things done, but being a strong conservative who never forgets who sent me to Washington. This past election cycle in 2024, we talked about how it was the most important election in our lifetime. It was our last chance to save our country, and the American people elected President Donald J. Trump. Not just for the Electoral College, but winning the popular votes as well. This is a political realignment happening in our country. And make no mistake, there is no state that moved more to the Republican direction than New York State, and that is because President Trump had a vision of growing our party, of growing the Conservative Party as well as the Republican Party, and making key inroads in hard-working neighborhoods like Queens and the Bronx, energizing upstate New York and making history in how many votes he earned in New York City. And look at the results. In just 6 months, we have a president who is leading with peace through strength, standing by our most precious ally, Israel. Can you imagine Joe Biden's auto pen or Kamala Harris in the Oval Office? I cannot. It is unimaginable the weak leadership they would bring. We have an economy that is already booming, and we are going to get this big, beautiful bill done to continue the Trump tax cuts, to lower taxes for every hardworking American. We're going to unleash energy independence to make sure that we are a boom in energy manufacturing, and we have that opportunity right here in New York State as well. We also, in this bill, have tremendous opportunity for school choice to make sure that every single child has an opportunity for the best education possible, and so that parents are in the decision-making position. And I know what it means to be America first. When we talk about this big, beautiful bill, this passed the House by 1 vote. And while I was honored to be the president's first cabinet nominee, after it became very clear that our margin was so slim in the House, the president withdrew my nomination for me to stay in the House to get his agenda done. And I am proud to cast that deciding vote to deliver for the American people, to deliver for the president, and to deliver for the people of New York. That is what it means to put America first. And as you know, we don't shy away from tough fights. Whether it was standing in the breach against that sham impeachment, whether it was being the key fighter against Adam Schiff, who went after President Trump, standing strong on behalf of our Constitution, on behalf of the American people, and on behalf of our president. I was proud to lead that effort. Whether it was defeating Liz Cheney to unify the Republican Party going into 2024 to make sure that we had that strong Republican voice for the president, or whether it was leading the charge to hold university presidents accountable for their failed moral leadership. You know, that hearing was the most viewed hearing in the history of the United States Congress, and I want to bring you into what actually happened at that hearing. After the horrific Hamas attacks against Israel on October 7th, leading to the bloodiest day for the Jewish people since the Holocaust, we saw a skyrocketing of anti-Semitism on our college campuses. And I'll tell you, it was unrecognizable. I graduated from one of those colleges. I graduated from Harvard. That's not the achievement. The achievement is graduating and staying a conservative Republican. That's the achievement. But it was unrecognizable to me to see the failed leadership from the presidents of these so-called elite universities. So we hauled them in. We had MIT, Penn, and Harvard. And I had multiple rounds of questions. I was not getting direct answers. So I thought, how can I make this the most straightforward, easy question? And it wasn't a political question, it was a moral one. And it was this: does calling for the genocide of Jews violate your university's code of conduct? And my assumption was they were going to say yes. And my follow-up that I had planned was, what disciplinary action have you taken against those students who have violated that? But to my shock, and I was not expecting this, each and every one said, it depends on the context. And the world heard. Within 1 week, there were 1 billion views of that video. It's now into the multiple billions. Within 48 hours, the Penn president was forced to resign. Within 4 months, the Harvard president was forced to resign. Within 6 months, the Columbia president was forced to resign. And we have more work to do. And it's because of President Trump, who is holding these schools accountable. He and I talked a lot about that in this past campaign cycle. He is holding these schools accountable, working with us to defund these anti-Semitic institutions, to remind these colleges that they are American institutions. Trump is doing, and while the country is moving in such a positive direction, whether it's the border security, whether it's the economy, whether it's his energy policy or national security policy, what are we seeing in New York State? We are seeing failed government at the highest levels of our state. You know, I dubbed Andrew Cuomo the worst governor in America, and at that time he was. We remember his tyrannical reign during COVID, and I never thought it was possible that we would have a worse governor. But let me tell you, Kathy Hochul makes it possible. She is the worst governor in America. Look at the crises she has created because of her failed policies and single-party Democrat rule. You have a sanctuary state that prioritizes illegals over law-abiding New Yorkers who are here legally. Just today, if you look at the news, something happened in Albany because of Kathy Hochul's sanctuary state policies. President Trump's U.S. attorney in the Northern District was chased by an illegal with a knife on the streets of Albany. This is Kathy Hochul's New York. You saw her testify last week, where I bulldozed right through her in 5 minutes. She did not acknowledge or know that a New Yorker was burned alive on the subway by an illegal. She did not acknowledge or know that a 15-year-old was raped in Albany County by an illegal here because of her failed policies. She did not know or acknowledge that a 5-year-old on Long Island was raped because of Kathy Hochul's policies, allowing illegals to stay here. She did not even know that Laken Riley's death was because of failed bail reform and sanctuary state policies in the state of New York when that illegal criminal was released in Kathy Hochul's state. She owns these failures lock, stock, and barrel, and mark my words, we are going to hold her accountable. And it's not just the sanctuary state policies, it is also the crime crisis in New York. At every opportunity, Kathy Hochul has turned her backs on our hardworking law enforcement officers. The Democrat Party is the party of defunding the police. They are the party of failed bail reform, of putting criminals first, putting New Yorkers at risk, releasing violent criminals onto our streets, making every community less safe. And let me tell you, this is not just a New York City issue, this is an issue all across New York State. Time and time again, she turns her back on our proud men and women in blue. And I will tell you, Chairman Long, the Conservative Party, and New Yorkers at large, we proudly back the blue. And we need a governor who has their back. And then, of course, the affordability and economic crisis in New York State. While we are working hard at the federal level to make sure that we have pro-growth economic policies under President Trump, what is Kathy Hochul's solution? It is the fact that we are the highest tax state in the nation, the least friendly to business. We lead the country in all the wrong categories. We are #1 in population loss, which is why we lost a congressional district and are on the path to do so again. No state has lost more people in the past few years than New York State. And I'll tell you, from the North Country, it's not because of the weather, it's because of failed policies in single-party Democrat rule. We need pro-growth tax cuts. We need to rein in the bloated budget in Albany that is out of control, particularly when you compare it to high-population states like Florida and Texas. And we need a vision to put this state back on track, to make it affordable for every family, to make it a state where small businesses, manufacturers, and farms want to stay and invest for the next generation instead of leaving at the first opportunity. Think about our energy policy. Look at the success that the state of Pennsylvania has right across the border of the southern tier, and yet our communities are hollowed out. We have so much opportunity here to invest in energy resources, to frack, baby, frack, and let me tell you, with the next governor, we will. Now, what is the path? The path in New York, we need to build on Lee Zeldin's success that he delivered in 2022. That was the reason why we picked up a number of congressional seats that delivered the House majority and fired Nancy Pelosi once and for all. President Trump built on top of that and even outperformed the numbers in 2022. 2022 in key parts, outperformed in 2024 the 2022 numbers. He outperformed in key parts of the state. We need to energize upstate. We need to do better in key parts of New York City, and we need to hit Lee Zeldin's numbers on Long Island. I know that with great leaders like Bruce Blakeman, who is on the ballot in Nassau County as county exec, we need to re-elect Bruce this year, build that momentum going into next year. And we will have an interesting indicator as we watch this disaster of a Democrat mayoral primary play out right here in New York City. The fact that you have Cuomo as one of the top candidates, the disgraced former governor Andrew Cuomo, who was forced out of office, and then you have a true Marxist communist as potentially the next mayor of what should be the greatest city in the world and what can be the greatest city in the world with strong policies. We need to defeat that. We will unify to support Curtis Sliwa. He has an opportunity in a five-way race to win this November. Conservatives, I see some heads shaking. Curtis can win if it's a five-way race. And then, with strong momentum in the local elections, we will have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to save our state once and for all and fire Kathy Hochul. So I've been crisscrossing the state. I appreciate the opportunity to be among so many friends here today. We have a wealth of any strong Republican can defeat Kathy Hochul once and for all and save our great state. I am proud to help lead this effort. I am thankful for all of your support. I will never forget Mike Long's support in that first race.